We're moving into an era in late stage capitalism where employment is going to start to become a privilege. I'm sure y'all have seen videos about that MTA job fair and how it wasn't really a job fair. It was just a waste of employees' times or potential employees' times, right? Now, this could be big corporations push back to the quiet quitting movement, people choosing to get unemployment over actually having employment during COVID. Now that we're going to start seeing warrants rolled out for people who participated in PPP fraud. But this is also like a checkmate for the employee, a rise in strikes. This is their way of saying, all right, well, you want us to change our practices, you want us to change our ways. How about we just don't get you a job? And then you suffer. And if you can't afford unemployment or you're not approved for unemployment, you don't have any checks coming in, you end up homeless, which is now illegal. And we also have the robots on the way to do your job anyway. Now, they've already game set matched most of Americans' mentalities when it comes to being hyper individualistic. As long as I'm doing good, everybody else's problem is their fucking problem. But as we see employment become more and more of a privilege, or it's harder to find gainful employment, or it's harder to find employment in which your skill set lies in, then community is going to start to become more and more important. Hard skills are going to start to become more and more important in community. And what that looks like to me is the plumber that lives next door, you holler at him when you have a plumbing issue instead of because you can't afford a $1,500 or $2,000 problem unless it's absolutely necessary. If he can come over and help you out, he'll come help you out. Same thing with the HVAC guy, same thing with the electrician. It's going to come to a point where we're going to have to start trading our skills with each other. Real community is if you have a pickup truck, help me move. And I could feed you. Like, that's how I grew up. Like, now everything is about the individual and how does this benefit me? If it doesn't benefit me or it only benefits you, then I can't do it. Nobody's willing to go out their way for anybody anymore. And kind gestures are not as appreciated. But as employment becomes more and more of a privilege, we're going to start thinking about each other in the aspect of like, we're doing this thing together. Okay, if you miss 2 checks and that's going to put you at risk for eviction, then you're not really better than anybody. You just have the privilege of employment, if I could put that in perspective for you. You have to remember that the idea of capitalism that lives in America, our ideals around capitalism is slavery. That is the foundation of what this country was built off of. And just because you want to ignore black people when they talk about reparations, and just because you want to ignore the experiences of black people we endured during slavery, and why do we have to tie everything back to slavery? Because everything does tie back to slavery. And because that is what their idea is headed towards. Look at how y'all discuss robots. A lot of y'all want nothing more than to own somebody. Now, it's not ethically moral to own slaves in human form. So now we'll take them in the form of a robot. This is deeply entrenched in the American psyche, right? And wage theft being about $20 billion a year. They're trying everything that they can to work you to the bone without having to pay you for it. So if I have to lock you up in order to make that a possibility, I'm willing to do it. And you just like, we get really confused when we start operating in these binaries about red and blue and left and right and things like that, when we're only focused on like our team, our ideology as individuals, and not what's better for the community and not what's better for the American people as a whole. Because the thing is just American is just a deeply selfish person that has aspirations to be in the top 1% so they can then oppress others. That's you.